Unlike traditional tarot, with its focus on predicting future events, the Zen approach aims to bring clarity and insight to the present moment. Anything that is concerned with the future, it is basically a reading of the unconscious of the person. It has nothing much to do with the future. It has more to do with the past, but because the future is created by the past, it's relevant to the future. If you know the past of the person, you will be able to predict his future because he is going to repeat it. If he has been an angry person in the past, he is carrying the tendency to be angry in the future. An unconscious being goes on repeating his past again and again. It is a will-like phenomenon, he repeats it, he cannot do anything else. There has been a great misunderstanding between life and time. Time is thought to consist of 3 tenses: past, present, future, which is wrong. Time consists only of past and future. It is life that consists of the present. So those who want to live, for them there is no other way than to live this moment. The past is simply a collection of memories, and the future is nothing but your imagination, your dreams. Reality is here, now. Those who want just to think about life, about living, about love, for them, past and future are perfectly beautiful because they give infinite scope. Those who have missed living in the past automatically start dreaming about the future. Their future is only a projection out of the past. Whatever they have missed in the past, they are hoping for in the future, and between the two is the small moment that is life. The present gives you the opportunity of life. But on the both sides there are dangers. Past and future are the most dangerous words in human language. Between past and future, living in the present is almost like walking on a tightrope. On both sides there is danger. It is not the fault of life. It is our misunderstanding. Watchfulness will give you life without even thinking about it, because watchfulness can only be in the present. You can witness only the present. The Fool. Life is trial and error, one has to learn through errors. In the old days all great emperors always had one fool in their court. Because there are things so-called wise men will not be able to understand, that only a foolish man can understand. Because the so-called wise's cleverness closes their minds. A fool was needed, because many times the so-called wise would not say something because they were afraid of the emperor. A fool is not afraid of anyone else. He will speak, whatever the consequences. A fool is a man who will not think of the consequence. Everybody is born a simple fool, that is the meaning of simpleton. A simple fool. He knows not that he knows not. He has not yet become aware of the possibility of knowing. Simple fools are tremendously happy. Unhappiness needs a little training. You cannot create unhappiness without knowledge. Knowing becomes a barrier, becomes heady. Living through the head, not through totality. So everyone is bound to become knowledgeable.
Existence. The more you are together with existence, the more alive you are. Live totally, because the deeper your living is, the more you are in contact with existence. Every moment you are renewed, by each of your breaths, existence takes care of you. Through your breath, you are continuously connecting with existence. It goes on pouring life into you. Existence is enough unto itself. Relax because the whole of existence is taking care. There is no need to be worried and to be concerned. Your darkness is your own creation. You are not a stranger, we are part of it. But you have to learn how to participate in the dance. Inner voice. We unnecessarily go on seeking advice from the outside, when it is already there. None of the voices inside you come from the inner self. All voices come from the mind. When all voices are absent, the inner self inspires you in silence towards a certain action, a certain direction. It does not come in words, it is just a silent indication. When all voices have died down and there is utter silence, the inner self is capable of taking your hand and moving you. That is the moment to be in a let go, and allow it to take you wherever it takes you. There is no voice, it is simply the inner silence. But if we use the words inner silence, you will not get the idea that there is some inspiration or some direction which is being pointed to. When your mind is completely silenced by meditative awareness, then you hear the innermost advice. The whole purpose of meditation is just to find the inner guide. You need not depend on the memory system at all. Now your answers will be real responses. Your actions will be real responses, not reactions. Reactions come from the mind, responses come from the inner guide. Creativity. The only way to be really in tune with existence is to be creative. Whenever you are creating, you participate in existence. You are no longer separate from it. You disappear and existence starts creating through you. Those rare moments when there is no ego and creation is simply flowing, then creativity becomes meditative. Creativity happens only when ego is absent, when you are relaxed, when there is really no desire to do something. Suddenly some unknown force overwhelms you to be creative. The rebel. The rebel is renouncing the past. He is not going to repeat the past, he is bring something new into the world. Those who have escaped from the world and society have really renounced responsibilities, but without understanding that the moment you renounce responsibilities, you renounce freedom. Freedom and responsibilities go away together or remain together. But outside the world society, there is no possibility. Reaction comes out of your past conditioning. Response comes out of your presence, awareness, consciousness. It is the ability to respond, not following any order, you are simply following your awareness. You function like a mirror reflecting the situation and responding to it, not out of memory, past experiences, or similar situations, not repeating your reactions, but acting fresh, new in this very moment. Nothingness. To create nothingness in you is the goal of meditation. This nothingness is not negative, it is positive. Buddha has defined this nothingness as overflowing compassion. Nothing can either be just emptiness or it can be tremendous fullness. It can be negative, it can be positive. Nothingness simply means no thingness. All things have disappeared, and because things have disappeared there is pure consciousness left behind. The mirror is empty of any reflection, but the mirror is there. Consciousness is empty of any content, but consciousness is there. When it was full of content, so many things were inside that you could not have known what consciousness is. When the consciousness is full of contents, that's what we call mind. When consciousness is empty of all contents, that's what we call no mind or meditation. To create nothingness in you is the goal of meditation. Remember, nothingness does not mean that it is nothing. Nothingness simply means that it is all. Nothing means no thingness. Things are forms. Nothingness is a formless energy. It can be manifested in millions of forms, and it can only manifest in millions of forms because it has no form of its own. All is possible because nothingness simply means that no form has yet been taken. Once a form is taken, things become limited. Once a form is taken, you are not totally free, your form becomes your bondage. Hence meditation is an entry into nothingness. The moment a thought arises, a form has arisen, the form is only temporal, soon it will disappear. Don't cling to it. Watch it come in, and watch it go out. Remember consciousness, in which it arises and in which it dissolves again. That is your reality. That is your truth. The lovers. To others it will look like madness. To those who aren't in love, love is blind. To lovers, love is the only possible eye that can see. Love is the goal, life is the journey. The word intimacy comes from a Latin root, intimum. Intimum means your interiority. Unless you have something there, you cannot be intimate with anybody. Intimacy is allowing the other to come into you, to see you as you see yourself, to allow the other to see you from your inside. Love is the goal. Once the goal is clear, you start growing. The wound disappears. The wound is transformed. You can allow intimacy, but the other person will see the wound, that your life is in chaos, hence the fear of intimacy. And just to be sexually related to somebody is not intimacy. When you don't need a person at all. When you are totally sufficient unto yourself. When you can be alone and tremendously happy. Then love is possible. When you are really blissful on your own, you don't want to use anybody, you simply want to share. You would like somebody to share it with. And you will feel thankful that somebody was ready to receive. Awareness. Awareness is not part of the mind. Mind is just an instrument. Awareness is not part of it. But awareness flows through it. If you are not using it right, you are using your mind for dreams, imaginations, madness. You have not used it right. All efforts for meditation are to know this awareness. And this can be known only when mind has stopped functioning. When mind has stopped functioning, you will become aware that awareness is there. Courage. Growth certainly needs one thing, and that is courage. The seed can have 3 possibilities. The first possibility is that the seed may remain a seed. Man may remain simply a seed. The second possibility is that the seed may be courageous enough and start a communion with existence, become one with the earth. Great courage will be needed. Because who knows what may follow it? Only a few gather courage enough to gamble, to risk. You are risking because you are dropping all securities. You become vulnerable. That's what seeking is all about. A seeker is a plant, soft, delicate. The plant has to pass through 1001 hazards. That is the second stage. The seed dissolving into the soil, the man disappearing as an ego, disappearing as a personality, becoming a plant. The third possibility not all plants are going to attain, where they can bloom into flowers. Very few human beings attain the third stage of the flower. Why? Because of greed, because of miserliness, they are not ready to share. Because of a state of unlovingness. Courage is needed to become a plant, and love is needed to become a flower. A flower means opening up the heart. Be as one miserly as existence has been with you. Aloneness. Nobody wants to be alone. The greatest fear in the world is to be left alone. People do 1001 things not to be left alone. You become part of the crowd, you become part of an organization. Somehow you want to merge with a crowd where you can feel at ease. That you are not alone. There are so many people like you. To be alone is really the greatest miracle. That you don't belong to any organization. You have learnt how to love your reality. You have come to know how to be with yourself. When you meditate, you again become alone. You die to the past and you are born to the new, to the unknown. In love, there are 2 alonenesses. If they are really lovers, they won't try to possess each other, they won't try to dominate each other. Because that is not love. If the love is coming out of their aloneness, you will see 2 beautiful alonenesses together. Change. Only the entry of the new can transform you. If you allow the new to enter, you will never be the same again. Your whole past is at stake. You have lived in one way, you have thought in one way. You have made a comfortable life out of your beliefs. If you allow the new to enter, the new will transform you. It is unfamiliar. It may be a friend. It may be an enemy, and there is no way to know. The only way to know is to allow it. Hence the apprehension, the fear. And you cannot keep rejecting it either. Because the old has not yet given you what you seek. The old is familiar. The new is going to be uncomfortable. But there is a possibility, it may bring you bliss. You cannot reject it and you cannot accept it either, hence you waver. It is natural, this is how it has always been. This is how it will always be. Try to understand. Everybody in the world wants to become new, because nobody is satisfied with the old. It has become repetitive, become monotonous. You want to explore, you want to adventure. You want to become new and yet, when it knocks on the door, you withdraw, you hide in the old. Mind is always old. Mind is never new, it is the accumulation of the past. The moment anything becomes a repetition, you start behaving like a robot. And everything is bound to become a repetition, unless your intelligence, your meditativeness, your love is so great that it goes on transforming you, and the person you love. So that each time you look in the eyes of the person you love, it is something different. Unless one remains changing, even love becomes hell, otherwise everybody would be in love in the whole world. One has to be fresh every moment, unburdened of the past, always trying to find new ways to relate with people. One should make it a point that, I will not live like a machine. Your own being needs you to be unpredictable, each morning should find you new. Breakthrough. Breakdown is when you don't know any meditation, and your logic becomes irrelevant. Then there is a breakthrough, you enter into a new world, a new vision, a new perspective. If your head becomes a breakdown, don't be worried that you are going mad. The breakdown can become a breakthrough. The old is gone, you are no longer in the clutches of reason. You are free for a moment. Use this opportunity. The old mind has disappeared, there is a gap. Use this interval and lead towards another mind. New vision. Spirituality is the gaining of a new vision. Virtue follows that vision, it comes on its own accord. It is a natural byproduct. When you start seeing, things start changing. This is a beginning, the beginning of a new life. The beginning of a new vision. The beginning of a new way of being. You will have to drop much, you will have to disconnect yourself from all that is gone, from the past. Don't carry it anymore. It is an unnecessary burden. It will hinder growth, it will paralyze you. One should be capable of dying to the past every moment so that it is never accumulated. That's the path of the seeker, dying to the past every moment so that you are always young and fresh and alive, so that you are always present in the present moment. When you start dropping your ego, you start attaining to a new vision of life, a new style of life. You are resurrected. One who is ready to surrender, one who can say to God, "Let thy be done." God is not a person whom you are going to meet one day. God is an experience, the experience of your ego disappearing. And when your ego is no more, a new vision is born. Mind is confusion. Thousands of thoughts, fighting for your attention. Thoughts are pulling you into thousands of directions. It is a miracle how you go keeping yourself together. Thoughts fighting with each other, thoughts wanting you to fulfill them. It is a great confusion, what you call your mind. But if you are aware that the mind is confusion, and you don't get identified with mind, you will never fall. Transformation. The art of transforming suffering and pain into something good is the art of seeing the necessity of the opposite. Only through that acceptance is transformation possible. Light can exist only if darkness exists. Without darkness there will be no light, so those who love light and hate darkness are in a dilemma. The saint is possible only because of the sinner. Hence, Buddha says don't hate the sinner. He makes it possible for the saint to exist. They are two aspects of the same coin. Seeing this one is neither attached to good nor detached from bad. One accepts both as part and parcel of life. In that acceptance you can transform things. Only through that acceptance is transformation possible. And before you can transform suffering you will have to become a witness. You are just a mirror, it has nothing to do with you. Happiness comes and goes, unhappiness also comes and goes. It is a passing show, you are a mirror reflecting it. The mirror is not affected. The mirror reflects but remains unaffected, the mirror is not imprinted by either. The real change is not in the path, the real change is in the traveler. But to change paths is a beginning. So the transformation also has to begin from the outside. If you gather courage to change the outside, it will strengthen your courage to change inside. Integration. Integration has nothing to do with becoming. All efforts to become brings disintegration. Integration is already there, it has not to be brought in. At your very center you are integrated. You may not be aware, but it is there. Becoming is not the issue. You have just to go in and see it. It is a discovery, not an achievement. But you have become too attached to the periphery. You have become too outgoing, so you cannot look in. Create a little insight. The word insight is beautiful, it means to have sight in. Sit silently. Relax, close your eyes, and just go in, and not with any effort. If you can simply allow it to happen, it will surface arising out of meditation. Meditation is really a beautiful thing. On the periphery there is much turmoil. You are fragmented on the periphery. Move inward, and the deeper you go you will find that you are integrated. Conditioning. Personality is that which is given to you by society, culture, civilization, education, in other words by others. People are giving you their opinion about you, and you are collecting those opinions. Those opinions are creating your personality. You must have observed very small children whose personalities are not yet developed. It takes time. For at least 3 or 4 years, the child remains more of an individual than he may ever be again. He is authentic, sincere. He does not take any note of others' opinions. The reason you cannot now remember these 3 years is because you had no personality. It is the personality which accumulates the opinions of others and creates a false identity, a certain idea of who you are. You will have to dig deep within yourself through all the rubbish that has accumulated in the name of personality. Your personality is all that you know about yourself. And your individuality is that which you don't know. Meditation is an effort to get rid of your personality and to reach your individuality. So remember, whatever you have learned from others is not you. That is your persona, and you'll have to find your individuality again. Thunderbolt. Man forgets many things intentionally. He tries not to remember, because remembering may smash all his ego and bring it all crashing down. But in this world, man gets as much as he is willing to give up and let go. This is the paradox, but all the rules of life are paradoxical. It is sheer stupidity to hold on to anything in life. The great mistake is to grasp tightly. In doing so one loses what one would have got. In claiming that it is mine, we lose what is ours already. Silence. The silence to be found amongst the trees is nothing compared to the inner silence. The outer silence remains shallow, it has no depth. One can go into a forest. One can go up a mountain. There is certainly silence. But the marketplace and its noise are not there. It's an absence of noise. When you go inward, you touch a new kind of silence. The outer silence can be disturbed at any moment. True silence can only be found when you move inwards. There are very few people who love silence, although many people say they would like to be silent. The moment they are silent they are not happy. They start immediately searching for a distraction. Fear grips you and you start searching for a diversion, some occupation, anything to cling to. They are afraid of being silent, and there is a reason why they are afraid, because the more silent you become the more you disappear. You are noise because you are your mind, you are your ego. When the mind disappears, the mind starts evaporating. Then there is silence. Past lives. To enter future lives is not possible, because the future has not happened yet. But to enter the past is absolutely easy, because it has already happened. The memory is there and the record is there. Your mind has stored all the memories of all your past, so your mind is very old. Whatever happens in our lives is not accidental. A subtle process of cause and effect is working behind these happenings. Innocence. If you really want to know, you will have to drop all your knowledge, you will have to unlearn it. You will have to become ignorant again. Buddha himself was not very knowledgeable, he was a simple person, but his simplicity penetrated to the innermost core of his being. They know, but they are not knowledgeable. This knowing is not through scriptures. This knowing has happened through watchfulness. Remember the source. Real knowing comes through meditation, awareness, consciousness, mindfulness, watchfulness, witnessing. And unreal knowledge comes through scriptures. You can learn the unreal knowledge very easily and you can brag about it, but you will remain a fool, a learned fool, but a fool all the same. If you really want to know, you will have to drop all your knowledge, you will have to unlearn it. You will have to become ignorant again. If you are able to know yourself, you will be able to know all that is. You do not have to become, you are already it. Then layers and layers of conditioning are imposed upon your innocence. Your innocence is like a mirror and conditioning is like layers of dust. The mirror has not to be achieved, the mirror is already there, or rather, here. The mirror is not lost, it is only hidden behind the layers of dust. The mirror is not lost but forgotten because it is not functioning anymore as a mirror. Not that any defect has arisen in it, just layers of dust are covering it. All that is needed is to clean it, to remove those layers of dust. The process of becoming is a discovery, not an achievement. You don't attain to something new, you simply attain to which you have always been. You see a person on the road, you recognize him, his face seems familiar. You remember also that you know his name. It is just on the tip of your tongue. But still you are not able to remember it. And the more you try, the more difficult it becomes. When you are relaxed you are closer, when you are utterly relaxed, it will surface of its own accord. So you forget all about it. You are not even trying to remember, when suddenly it bubbles up. You were not trying to remember. And you were relaxed. When you are relaxed, you are wide, when you are tense, you become narrow. The more tense, the more narrow. The passage between you and that which is inside you becomes so narrow that nothing can pass through it, not even a single name. Once you have dropped the effort you become relaxed, finding the mind no longer tense, it surfaces. Beyond illusion. It takes a little effort to get out of illusions, because we have invested in them very much. They are our hopes. It is through them that we go on living. The mind lives in illusions. The mind is nothing but all the illusions accumulated in you. Illusions as memories, illusions as imagination, illusions as dreams, hopes, desires. And in the very center of all these illusions is the illusion of I am. The ego. That is the very root, the central illusion, and all other illusions move around it. They support it, they feed it, they are supported by it and they are fed by it. It is a mutual arrangement. And between these two, you and your reality are utterly lost. Meditation simply means getting out of this illusory state of dreams, desires, past, future, and just being in the moment that surrounds you. Just to be utterly in the moment, with no thought, is to be in reality. It takes a little effort to drop out of these illusions because we have lived in those illusions for so long, it has become almost habitual, a second nature. It also takes a little effort to get out of those illusions, because we have invested in them very much. They are our hopes and dreams, it is through them that we go on living, prolonging. To drop them means to drop the future. To drop all hope. That is the whole art. to living in the present and without hope. And remember, living without hope doesn't mean living hopelessly. Living without hope simply means that the present is tremendously beautiful. Who cares about the future? Who bothers about it? Not that one is living in despair and hopelessness, but that one is so fulfilled in the present that there is no space left to think about the future. The person who lives in hopelessness lives an empty life. He does not know what the present is. He was only living for the future. To live without hope simply means to live here, now, knowing that there is no tomorrow, it is always today. Then a totally different kind of life starts getting crystallized in you. It is so utterly joyous that one does not think of the past, and one does not think of the future. We think of the past and the future only because the present is very empty, because we don't know how to live this moment. So either we run towards the past or we run towards the future, which is in a way the same. The past is no more, the future is not yet, both are nothings. Between these two nothings is this moment. And this moment is all. The only thing that can be done is to make yourself a little bit alert, aware. In that very awareness the dream disappears. It has no grip over you. And once the mind is not there gripping you, you are a totally new person. A new consciousness is born in you. Completion. Remember one basic law. Anything that is complete drops, because then there is no meaning to carrying it. Anything that is incomplete clings, it waits for completion. And this existence is really always longing for completion. The whole existence has a basic tendency to complete everything. It does not like incomplete things. Do you remember anything that you have completed? Do you have any moment in your life, any experience, which you can say is complete, total? If you have any experience that is complete, the mind will never go back to it. There is no need. It is absolutely useless. The mind simply tries to complete everything. And this is necessary, otherwise life will be impossible. So the constant monologue that everybody carries within is really a part of wrong living, incomplete living. Nothing finished. Then the mind goes on becoming piled up with incomplete things. They will never be completed, but they will create a burden on the mind, a constant burden, a growing burden, increasing burden, and that creates the monologue. That's why the older you grow, the more the monologue grows with you. And old men begin to talk aloud. Really, the burden is so great that the control is lost. So if you really want to break this monologue, which means silence, then try to complete everything that you are doing. And do not start new things. Finish whatever you are doing, all the very small things. Then, for the first time, you will become aware that the internal monologue is a byproduct of incomplete living. Buddha has used the term right living. He has given an eightfold path. In those 8 principles, one is right living. Right living means total living. Wrong living means incomplete living. If you are angry, then be really angry. Be authentically angry, make it complete. Suffer it. There is no harm in suffering, because only through suffering does one transcend it. Suffer it. But be authentically angry. What are you doing? You are angry and you are smiling. Now the anger will follow you. You can deceive the whole world, but you cannot deceive yourself, you cannot deceive your mind. The mind knows very well that the smile is false. Now anger will continue inside, that will become a monologue. Then whatever you have not said aloud, you will have to say within. Whatsoever you have not done, you will imagine doing. Now you will create a dream. You will fight with your enemy, with the object of your anger. The mind is trying to help you to complete a certain thing. Even this can be helpful. Close your room. But do not continue the monologue. Act it out. There is no necessity to act it out on a person, a pillow will do. Fight with the pillow, act out your anger, express it. Let it be real, and then you will feel a sudden relaxation inside. Then the monologue will drop, it will break. There will be an interval, a gap. That gap is silence. So the first thing is to break the monologue. And you can do it only if your living becomes right living, complete living. Never be incomplete. Live every moment as if there is no other moment to come. Then only will you complete it. The Master. This blissfulness can happen to anyone, then why can it not happen to me? If it has happened to me, it can happen to you. There are so many teachers propounding doctrines, beliefs, philosophies. The authentic Master is not concerned with words. He is not concerned with beliefs. Even with God. The authentic Master is concerned only with one single thing, to provoke you to see your potentiality, to see inward. His presence makes you silent, melting your falseness, your mask, your personality. The truth never comes through words, but between the words. Between the lines. In the silent spaces.